This is a plaster mold of a red clay model, water-based clay model. With this plaster mold, I intend to make 7 cast clay tiles that'll be fired in a stoneware, a white stoneware. And before, I'm getting close to finishing, so before I finish, I thought I'd show a few things. What I'm doing here is basically I'm sanding the mold. I'm not sanding it completely. These surfaces completely flat. You can see on this raking light it's somewhat mottled. And I want to show that it's been done by hand. If I sand it too refined, it doesn't look like anybody sculpted it. So anyway, and then the other thing is I'm fixing some of the contours of the lines, and I'm fixing little neck holes and stuff. When I made the plaster, there were little air holes and stuff. So, and some inconsistencies in modeling. So anyway, they're sort of minor things, but they're all over the mold. And I wanted to show some of the tools that I'm using, obviously. So they're pretty simple. Sandpaper, like 150 sandpaper glued to a piece of bicycle inner tube. This is a really nice tool. These are it's a urethane rubber, but I cast it with very fine silica sand. And what's nice is I can shape these into any shape I want, and then I can use them also in these leaves, which are very, sort of soft contour. What's nice about working in the negative is you can make the forms much fuller, working in a concavity. And I mean, obviously these forms in the positive are convexities, but sometimes it's hard. And so anyway, there's certain advantages working in the negative in which you look at the work. Also, it becomes more abstracted, so you can just look at it for its line and look at it as a relief, but obviously in the negative, and it should make some sense in the negative. So anyway, some of the holes are tiny little guys like this. There were some bigger ones, but I've already gone through one pass. There's another one right here. There's another one over here. They're really tiny now, but so I got most of the big ones. And what I use is a mixture of plaster, but I want to make this tiny fill plaster. I don't want to make it harder. I want to make it softer than the surround material. So the way I do that is I mix about 50-50 plaster, and then I take the clay that I'm working with. As for the casting clay, the clay that the tiles would be in, I take that, grind it up, dry it, grind it up into powder, and I mix that with the plaster. Normally, when you mix plaster and clay together, we can make the plaster set up really fast, and I don't want that to happen. I do this. I like just working and using up all material, so I put a retarder in it, sodium citrate, and I use retarder for almost all my plaster work. So this mold was made with plaster that's retarded, and so that allows me to use up all the material. I don't work in a rush, and I can tool the plaster because it can go through its transitional states from liquid to sauce, thick sauce to a paste, and I have longer time to work it in these different states. And also the sodium citrate, the retarder, allows me to mix sometimes mix it at a thick consistency, and I don't have to worry about it setting up right away. So most of my plaster is set up in an hour, and based on the batches that I make, I end up using all the material. So in here it's hard to see, but this is a little rubber bowl of that plaster clay mix. And what's nice about using the clay is that obviously when I cast tiles, if there's clay residue on this of this stuff, it won't discolor the piece. I mean, I clean up all the cast tiles anyway, but there's less chance. So it's pretty simple. I just, and it's hard to see, but this stuff is quite liquidy. But you'll see on here, I just did a little blob here, and you'll see that it's quite wet, and it sucks in, and the plaster's sucking it in, sucking the water in. It's pretty, and then some of these holes won't fill up on their first pass, but it's, so then I go back and I hit it again. There's something had marred the plaster over here. So I'm adding some of this stuff in here, and I'm just going all over what looks like little divots. I don't know if I'm catching this all on camera because I'm looking where I'm applying the brush. So in an hour or so, this will set, and then I can come by and abrade it away without abrading the surrounding plaster. And so this will be my second pass going through, and by my third pass there'll probably be not much to catch. I mean, as the piece gets cleaned up, you notice things start to pop out that didn't pop out before, but anyway, it's hopefully. And what's nice about this is, I have, once I make the clay tiles, I can go over them, and I mean the clay cast tiles, and I can go over them and catch anything or add texture or whatever. But several opportunities to get this look, get rid of some of the noise, but then hopefully be able to accentuate the form. So you can see they're raised little blobs, and they're so easy to sand. It's not really much effort, but they're substantial enough that they won't disappear. They'll be part of the mold permanently. Let's see. That's about it. Signing off.